And look at how rich and green this is. This is awesome. So today we're going to be going over the benefits of aerating your yard. Something personally I've never done before, but we're starting to have some issues in the yard and it sounds like aeration may solve my problems. So welcome back everybody. In this episode, hopefully we're both going to learn something together. As you can see, I have got a sweet vibrating aerator on the front of my Grasshopper 900D. Just one of the many attachments in their lineup that you can put on the front of your machine. So on this Grasshopper 900D, I am able to remove my front mowing deck and put a whole multitude of accessories on, from snow blowers to regular leaf blowers, flail mowers, all kinds of stuff, dethatchers, but an aerator is one of the options that they offer. This is not a plug aerator, so it's not actually pulling plugs out of the ground and laying them on the yard. That's something that you have to deal with. These teeth actually go down into the ground, and the reason this free spins is so whenever we lower this down, the wheels actually drive these along. But here's the really cool part. As you can see, there's a shaft right there going to a gearbox inside here. So what this gearbox does is actually causes vibration across this entire drive assembly. So what that ultimately means is as these teeth stab down into the ground, they're vibrating and fracturing the hard packed ground. Now how does that benefit us? Over the years, ground becomes very hard packed. Maybe you're driving a lot of heavy equipment on it, or in an area where we're having a huge problem over by my barn, it's been packed for years. Whenever we first started building this place, we had semis in here, concrete truck after concrete truck, heavy equipment like that packs the ground down so hard. The issue that I'm having is, take a look right here. Whenever we get heavy rains, the water just sheds across the ground and then puddles up in a low spot. It does not absorb into the ground anymore. So thanks to that hard packed ground, the water just runs across the top because it's not open and pores can't go in, and it's just shooting across the yard. Well, that causes nourishment issues because we're not getting all the nutrients and nourishment down to the grass roots. We're not getting the water down to the grass roots, and as a result, that part of my yard over there, typically the grass never grows well. So what this machine does is it goes in and fractures that ground all up, kind of loosens it up. So it breaks it all up around your grass roots. Now as water runs down, you have all these plug aerated holes where water can naturally seep into the ground. The ground's loosened up. It'll absorb it like a sponge, as well as fertilizers or any other good nutrients. Even cutting grass. Grass clippings are an excellent source of nutrients. Grass actually feeds itself as those clippings hit the ground. Now how cool is that? You could actually see the crazy vibration of the teeth. Now your yard's gonna look a little off after you first do this, but you've got to understand, we're looking for results down the road, not today. So take a look at the yard. Very easy to see all the fractured holes way down in the ground. We may make a couple of passes because the ground is so hard packed here. So obviously the slower you go, it probably fractures more, but I was told you can pretty much go as fast as you want. And if you go in reverse with this machine, it'll actually fracture the ground even more. So if you have extremely hard packed ground, like say clay, you can go in reverse on some of the really tough areas. All right, I don't know if there's much else to say about this other than let's get after it. So here we are quite a while later, y'all. I've just made 2 passes across my entire yard in different directions because I have so much ruts from old concrete trucks and everything else. And I can clearly tell this is loosening the soil up. I can actually see tracks where my mower's going on hard ground that I could never see. Vehicle tracks or anything else that weighs so much more. It's definitely loosening up. But it's so hard to tell in the grass, I thought I'd sacrifice a section of my hard-packed road that we drive on every single day. This is a sandy clay mix, but it's hard. UPS trucks have been in here, just had one come in and out. Us driving on it every day. Let me show you how this disturbs the soil. So I'm gonna come forward for a little ways, and then I'm gonna go in reverse. Oh my goodness, if you have hard soil, go in reverse, especially on a hard patch. I have noticed it works amazingly well, but we'll leave a section of forward and reverse. So I can't explain this to you without just showing it on bare ground. You'll see the way it fractures the ground, throws dirt out. This is a really good thing for drainage, trust me. Here we go. If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what else will. Look at the way it vibrated, destroyed the hard packed ground, and just threw it out everywhere. Now, while this looks violent on dirt, this is not how your yard looks because the grass roots and everything's holding the yard together. Actually, the first rain or two is going to start packing everything back in, but there's always going to be this loose, destroyed soil. Of course, here comes my dog. He's got to check it out. I just want to remind y'all, that's exactly what I'm looking for natural drainage of water, nutrients, fertilizers, everything else. Instead of it running down a hard packed surface and going away from where you put the nutrients, whether natural or fertilizers, now it can penetrate the soil. And if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I had no idea about this until today making this video. I know landscape professionals always offer this service and rant and rave about it. I had no idea why until I could physically see it. So look at this. Hard packed ground, completely loosened up. While this is not what you want to do to a road, can you imagine that in a yard? Now think about fertilizer, fresh grass seed, overseeding. Think about the rain. It's going to find its way into all this and now go right down instead of rushing down and away. Well, here we are a couple of weeks later, story of my life. I aerate the yard, I'm getting ready to fertilize. I want to see the results of this aeration, and we go into an absolute drought. It is powder keg dry. I'm shocked the yard is not brown. Now in a couple days they're calling for a slight chance of rain. We're not guaranteed to get anything, but there's a couple days in a row with small percentages. I figured I better go ahead and put some fertilizer on the ground just in case it does rain. I want to monitor the rain runoff, see if it's actually going to absorb it and all this fractured ground and holes that we've created. And if we do get that rain, I want it washing some of the fertilizer and other stuff into those holes. So I just got back from the fertilizer store. I'm just doing some super cheap, the cheapest fertilizer they had. All right, y'all, here we are several, and I mean several weeks later, like a month and a half, 2 months, probably 2 months after starting this video, because we went in a severe drought. Didn't get rain for like a month and a half right after I aerated the yard. Oh, isn't that the way the world works? But we finally got us a rain, and y'all, look at the difference. So we've had this property for going on, I think, 12 years now, and I can say this is as lush and green as this area has ever looked. Some of you are gonna say, hey, you fertilized it, that helped. Absolutely it did. But guess what? I've fertilized these yards many times before, and I've never seen it look this rich, this green. Normally it's always pretty bare. You can go back and watch older videos. It's just never looked good out here. And that's because this yard is so hydrophobic, because it was so packed hard, and that aerovator just loosened it all up. So now the fertilizer and the water and everything is seeping into the soil. Now with that said, we're probably still gonna need to aerate this again because it's still very hard packed, but that loosened it up dramatically. And look at how rich and green this is. This is awesome. So I can honestly say that aeration, it works. So now we need to do something we haven't done in a while. Mow. We've been in such a drought, we haven't had to mow. So Tiffany's gonna get out, get started after that today, and then we'll take one quick peek at the yard after it's mowed and see if it still has that lush green color. All right, so as y'all can see, I had to do me a little bit of mowing before turning the mower over to Tiffany. I rarely get to use it anymore because she has taken that particular chore over. She loves it now that we have an awesome mower. So let me show y'all something. I did not aerate this part of the yard. Look at it. See how it's just sparse, really hard packed, clumpy. This is all, I should have aerated this, but I guess we get a good test subject. So see, this is what the entire front did just look like. By the way, y'all see the coloration? It's bare, it's yellow, and I fertilized this too, by the way. See all of this? Does it look good? Well, look at where I started aerating. I made it up right into here and then did the entire front of the yard, and you can see I've already got some mowed. I'm telling y'all, look at the color difference. It has never looked so good. Yeah. Dark green, lush, no comparison to that other spot. And it's only gonna get better as the summer goes on. We just started getting rain. So all these little dimples and holes that I have down here, they're gonna start filling in. But typically the yard looks dead, brown and bare back here and yellowed. I can definitely see the difference, and hopefully y'all can too, especially since I just showed you an area that I did not do with the aerovator and an area that I did. All right, thanks to Tiffany, here it is mowed. And now it's even easier to see the difference. Look at the coloration out here. Nice and green. Don't forget I fertilized the entire yard, but I stopped aeration literally right here. Look at the rest of the property. Can you see the pure yellowness? Even though I fertilized everything you see, I bought a ton of fertilizer. That right there speaks volumes. All right, hopefully y'all learned something. That was a pretty cool attachment. No, it's not for everybody, but you may want to hire somebody out, a local lawn company, to do that for you. If I can ever get my hands on that aerovator again, I think that's something I would love to do once a year. I can clearly tell the benefits of it, and I can clearly tell that my soil absolutely needs it, especially in these heavily traveled, hard-packed areas right here. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.